so at this point we have dried the cases, and the cases are, as you can see, clean, but still have the primer pockets that we need to knock out. So next step is going to be running them through my sizer and deep primer dye, and what that's going to do is going to resize the case, and it has an expander rod inside. It's going to fix any deformities on the cases, and it's going to expand the neck, and it's also going to punch a hole on the primer. Now the primer pockets are going to be dirty, and then we'll take care of that after that. So let's go ahead and move on to the Hornady lock and load and start depriming and resizing. Alright, at this point we're back at the Hornady lock and load, and I'm going to go ahead and put all the cases in the hopper or on the case feeder up top, and then we can start doing our thing. Might be a little loud here, just bear with me. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the case feeder and start letting them fall on the tube. Okay, now that the tube is filled with 2 to 3 cases, all we're going to do is run them through the press, and I am using the Hornady resizing and depriming dye. All the other dyes are over here. We're not going to need them for this process. All we're doing is resizing and depriming. Alright, so let's go ahead and take care of that real quick, so we can then move on to the next step. Let me put a little bit of the bend here. Okay, let's do this. Actually, I'm just noticing that I did not lube the cases, but it seems to be working okay. One more. So yeah, so I continue to do this process. I think you get the idea. And next, we're just gonna move on to the next step. So the cases are now done depriming and resizing, but if you notice, there's one of them who did not get deprimed. So this is a big no-no. So another tip that I gotta give you, if you do the method that I do, where you first clean and then remove the primers in order to clean them later, when you're decapping, make sure that all of them are decapped, because you don't want to run into the problem that when you're reloading later on, there's already a primer. And so I'm going to go ahead and take care of this in the press. I'll be right back. Next step in the process is going to be to make sure, now that the cases are resized, making sure that they are trimmed to the appropriate length. You don't want to trim before resizing, because resizing is going to stretch the brass a little bit. It's going to change its dimensions. So you definitely want to resize first and then trim. Another tip that I want to give you is make sure you get one of these Lyman or Wilson case gauges, and there's case gauges for each caliber. These are a great way of measuring if the cases are too long or not. You can use a caliper, but a caliper is a pain in the ass because you have to adjust each one and open and close. For this one, you just insert the case. You should hear a plunk, and the case should go in and out freely. And you see in the front, if the case protrudes from that edge like this one does, then let me zoom in here real quick. See how it's protruding a little bit? Then it's not a lot, but me being anal, I'll just go ahead and trim that. So I'll put it on the trim bin. Let's look at the next one. This one is fairly good, so I'm going to keep it. Next one. This is, again, it's pretty good. You don't want to over trim. Next one. Yeah, this is actually under. So this is actually pretty good. Oop. Next one. Yeah, seems like this batch is fairly good. So yeah, oh, look at this one. This one does not go in all the way. So maybe something happened in the resizing part. So we need to go ahead and resize that. So that's why it's critical that you use a case gauge that's going to tell you if it fits or not and the length. So that one goes on the side. This other one is good. Next one is good. So yeah, I'm going to continue doing these with the remaining 50 or so. And I'll come back and we'll do some trimming for the ones that need to be trimmed. Next in the process is to trim the cases, or next in my process I should say. The way that I use is a Giraud trimmer, which also can be confused with the WFT, the world's finest trimmer. Same difference. This in particular will trim the case, will deburr and chamfer, so you don't have to make those other extra steps for your case prep. So let's go ahead and chuck this and take care of that. If I can get this correct here. Okay, it's chucked. Okay. And out of the 50 plus cases I had, only about 15 need to be trimmed. So let's go ahead and take care of that. You just press and insert, and that's it. Once you insert it, you're gonna feel if it's cutting or how much it's cutting. So it's definitely a palpable, or you can feel the process. I'm gonna put this one aside. Actually, let me check it. You see, I just did this one. It's shiny on the inside, shiny on the outside. There's no burrs or issues that may cut you or that may shave a bullet later on. Put it on the thing. Perfect length. Okay. Okay, so now we have cases that have been deprimed and resized. We have cases that have been trimmed. That falls under the line there. Cases that have been resized, deprimed, trimmed to length, and now the primary pockets are still a little dirty. So we're going to take care of that in the next process, or in the next step. Okay, for the remaining portion of the brass prep, what I do is I use this Lyman case prep center, and as you may or may not know, it has a ton of different attachments, and it uses simple attachments that are screw in like this. You know, just put on whatever you need, and you can use a variety of items such as deburr, chamfer. I'm using these brushes. Let me see if I can zoom into that. Brushes from Hornady are really good because they kind of have like really sharp needles, and they really clean that primer pocket. So what I'm gonna be doing today, or using today, is only gonna be 2 items, since I've already chamfered and deburr. I will not be needing these 2, but I'll be using this primer pocket uniformer. It just uniforms the hole on the inside of the case, and you can. And I like this tool because you can adjust it. It has an Allen key here. You can adjust for the length of any case. And of course, I'm going to be using this brush that works wonders. So, to give you an example, you have 2 dirty primer pockets. I'll turn on the unit, run it through the uniformer, and usually nothing happens, but if there is any cutting, you'll feel the droppings fall. I'm going to clean that one. Next one. Turn it around. Yeah, so look at that. Look at those primer pockets now. Shiny. I'm going to do a few more and take care of this process. Now I can tell from looking at these cases, primer pockets, that most of them have some sort of crimp or some sort of additional ring in the primer pocket area, like this one for example. Let's see if you can see that. See that ring? It may or may not be a, well, I know it's not a military crimp, but in my experience, any other rings that are around the primary pocket hole, at least if you're reloading with a Hornady lock and load, those rings should be removed, because the priming system, in my experience, is very finicky. So you definitely want to make sure that primer pocket is as well. Let's just say that you want to make sure that primer pocket is uniform. So that's what I take my time, and I swage, which is the step that is going to come after this. And I swage because as I'm reloading, especially for those of you who are reloading with progressive presses, which is going to be another pro tip. If you're reloading with a progressive press, gotta make sure that you check those primer pockets and make sure that they're uniform, but that they also have no crimps. Because as you're moving and you have 4 or 5 other cases in the plate, and one of them primer doesn't want to go in, it will halt your production like a freight train. So anyways, this is how you do this step. After this step, we're going to do some swaging, and I will show you how that looks. Okay guys, so I just briefly wanted to show you something before swaging. This is all the dirt and debris that came out of cleaning primer pockets. So just wanted to show you that, yeah, the primer pockets, if you don't remove the primer and then wash them and do it the way I did, where you wash the cases with the primers, you will have to clean the primer pocket. I mean, you don't have to, but you can if you want to. And this is all the dirt that comes out with it. So I just figured I wanted to show you that. It's pretty interesting how dirty those primer pockets were. Okay, on to swaging. Okay, so into swaging. We all know what this is. This is the LnL Swager, in my opinion, one of the best things out there. And I know that everyone on YouTube says that it's the best, but the ease of use is fantastic. Price, you know, just probably one of the pricier ones in comparison to all the others from Lee or RCBS. But let me show you what I mean. I did this when I reviewed this Swager. There is a video of me doing it, but I wanted to show you here something real quick. Around the case. Let me try to remove that and show you how good this works. Yeah, perfect. You see that? That line and that ring is down along there. It's a fantastic unit. Like I mentioned, if you haven't seen my other video, go watch it. But when you mount the Swager, you gotta make sure that you mount it on a bench where you can move the handle below the bench, because you definitely want to get, when you set it up, you will know that you're gonna want to make, or you're gonna want to have, the complete breadth of the stroke in the cases. Okay, so to summarize, we have picked up the brass from the range. We sorted it out from other brass types. Then we collected the 223 dirty brass. we tumbled them in stainless steel media. Then we washed them, we rinsed them, we separated the media. We checked that there was no more stainless steel pins inside of the cases. And we ran it through the sizing die, sizing and depriming, and the Hornady progressive press. After that, the cases were resized, but they still had dirty pockets. So then we trimmed them with the Giraud trimmer. After trimming them, we made the primer pockets from the inside uniformed, and we also cleaned the primer pockets. After that, we're serraging them now, and this is really the last process in that case prep series of processes. And you know, this is a video more geared to the beginners, so they have an idea of what to do. I've also given them, I've also given you guys some tips on how to avoid having to either spend more money or having to, you know, go through steps that are unnecessary. And after this, really the last thing that's missing is to load them. Put them through the machine, add a new primer, insert powder, expand the case mouth, insert the bullet and crimp it. And that's going to happen on the next video. So if you stay with me, we will complete this process in no time. Alright, thanks for watching so far. That'll be the end of this video. And next video is going to be reloading.